Hello, and welcome to the Theory of Creativity's The Theory of Independent States podcast. I'm Garrison, and I'm here with Sarah. And yes, as the title suggests, we're going to be talking about independent states. Funny thing, we've been meaning to do this podcast for like 2 months now, and we just kept pushing it back. And really, I don't even know how it even got on there. It just kind of just slowly weaseled its way into our lineup.
Wasn't it with Kevin on the theory of democracy? We were having like a tangent conversation, and then all of a sudden we were talking about the individual rights of states. Because within the realm of democracy, the way our democracy is established, each state has its own reserved rights. And one of the biggest issues right now, funny enough, is with the legal rights of marijuana users, especially in states like California that just recreationally legalized it on January 1st, 2018.
Is that where this topic came from?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, like your main thing is the marijuana thing. Can you talk about that a little more?
Yeah, so California was medical prior to January 1st, 2018. And with the governor, and they made it so that it is recreational in California now. So you can go out on the streets and smoke it if you want to. You can grow it in your home within reason. Now, Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General of the United States, is seeking to overthrow that whole idea and put marijuana users in jail. So that puts kind of like a jab on basically on California. And to me, that, I don't think that we have a problem with Jeff Sessions. We didn't before, but now we do. And so there's a huge problem. And I don't think that this whole administration is going to be around much longer. It might last the next 3 years, but after that, probably not.
I don't know. I think with Trump moving into office, it sort of encouraged a lot of people to be a little more forthcoming with some of their conservative opinions, and I think a surprising amount of people support Jeff Sessions and his ideals.
That's quite unfortunate, because if you look at how many states have medical marijuana, legalized, then basically, I mean, if it weren't for Texas, these people in the administration right now wouldn't be there. But because Texas is such a large state with a lot of, people in the red, there's good cause for these people to keep on winning the way that they do.
Right. Yeah. I was reading one of Quentin Ross's Facebook posts a few days ago, and he lives in this area. Shout out to Quentin Ross. He's an artist. You can look him up on like Instagram or something like that and find him. But he was saying that he was in a restaurant, and he was ordering some food, and he overheard a conversation of two people saying something along the lines of, "We don't really believe in diversity, but we'll say that we do so we can have funding." So yeah, there's still people out there, definitely.
I hope that was out of context. I really hope that was, because that blows my mind. I mean, because people can joke about it, I think. Like, if you're like talking about another company and like adding soliloquies to what you think that they're going through, I could see that would be appropriate. But other than that, totally disturbing. If I was Quentin, I probably would have been like, whoa, dude, it's not cool. Like, because imagine if it's like a nonprofit, right? And they're gaining funding for schools. or for people of color, or just for anybody, really. Like, that would be completely unethical and disturbing.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. Back to independent states. So it is an important to know your rights as a state and to know your state laws. Primarily so you don't, one, break them, and two, so you can figure out where you stand as far as what you think that your state should be advocating for or advocating against. Because states have more power than I think people realize. The way our government is set up is that states have power to make their own laws. Now, the federal government has overall power, but if you look back into history, the state government versus federal government has been kind of balanced out pretty good. There's a lot of controversy still, I think, because of it, but I think overall states have more rights than they really realize. I mean, considering that we have now legalized recreational marijuana in one state. Yeah.
And it's funny that he's trying to get rid of weed, but like alcohol is like way more dangerous.
Yeah, my first instinct when I heard that is like, has this man ever had a drop of liquor? Has this man ever taken painkillers? You know,
Yeah, pharmaceuticals can get pretty rough too.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that marijuana is a gateway drug. Now, that is a really outdated term, because gateway drug signifies that one thing leads to another absolutely indefinitely. But that is not the case with marijuana. Marijuana has no addictive attributes to it. Zero. However, alcohol does, caffeine does, sugar does, painkillers do. All of which are legal, funny enough. Now go back to what you were saying earlier before we started this podcast about what you think about why marijuana is being illegalized, because people don't want people to think about things.
Right, you're right. I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast sometimes, and I listen to the Duncan Trussell podcast, and they offered some interesting perspectives on why marijuana is shunned in the mainstream media oftentimes. And they mentioned weed has certain properties to sort of lean towards nonviolence and friendship and opening your mind to different things. And I think that the government knows this, so they're trying to suppress or limit the use of marijuana.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that whole study that you just talked about, it's been proven. It has a way of making the blood in your brain flow differently, and by that can create neurotransmitters and increase dopamine, increase serotonin, these levels of euphoria that not a lot of other drugs can. It is considered a stimulant, not a depressant. Now, people think that it's a depressant because it makes you like low and mellow and everything, but that's not the case with every strand of marijuana. Now, I'm not like an expert on it, but I've done a lot of pot. There's different types of ones where indica, it will make you low and mellow, and it's more of a body high. And then there's the sativa strands that will make you have more of a mind high, and those are the ones that are like bam, what does Jimmy Neutron say?
Brain blast.
Brain blast, yeah. So those are the ones that'll make you have brain blasts, like make you think that you're a mad scientist in the middle of Kmart or something, So yeah, I mean that's kind of my perspective on it. I don't really think that should be an issue. I'm trying to think about other things that maybe we're fighting for right now for independent states, rights to do. And right now, because we live in Ohio, we have medical marijuana is legalized, and it was recent. And it's not fully functioning yet. I have yet to see anybody with a medical card yet. But in the state of Ohio, you can get a medical card from your prescribed doctor and then go receive it, your prescription, in states like Michigan, where they actually have functioning distilleries. I don't know if that's
Dispensary?
Dispensaries. And you can do that because we don't have any dispensaries right now in the state of Ohio.
Do you think if marijuana were ever to be legalized nationwide, that it'll sort of be diluted, like the potency?
No.
You don't?
No, let me tell you why. Because there's lots of people out there that love science. And with that, they've found ways, like, same thing with, like, you know, how genetically modified fruits and vegetables have come about. They can do some crazy science stuff where the THC level is out of this world, or the CBD levels are out of this world. That's where, like, the only CBD oil extracts have come from, or just THC. I mean, it is a science now, and it's really important. That's why it's such a big industry. There are companies that are finding ways to grow the best form of whatever chemical that's in THC and make it into something absolutely beautiful and just like flower it and sell it. I mean, it's like, it is a billion to $1 trillion industry. And if it dies, then so will all of that money that is funded into it. And, you know, maybe that's why Jeff Sessions doesn't want it to happen, because that's one big argument that tobacco industries have. You know, tobacco industries as well as paper industries. If we're not cutting down trees anymore, we can use hemp paper, we can use different hemp materials, because it's such a good thing to have, and we can make clothes out of it. I mean, it's kind of unlimited, the kind of things that you can do with it.
This is very hopeful. This sounds like a good alternative to than what we're doing now. Yeah, this podcast is kind of, I think we should just name this the theory of weed. Really,
theory of pot.
Really. Yeah, but independent states. I was sort of avoiding this topic for the longest. Like, whenever I would sit down to try to research it, I would just turn away. But the one thing that kind of crossed my mind when I was attempting to research was, you know how Europe has all of those countries like surrounding each other. Now, what if the states were just countries, and you know, they all had different rules and laws and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, yes. That's sort of what it is. I mean, it's weird because, like, if you look back at the history of the United States, each state was formed independently, and somebody told me this maybe about a week ago. Like, before George Washington, there was like 11 presidents that you and I never learned about in school because they were just unimportant. And now that, I think, kind of says something about our government and the way it was formed, because it's like, you know, we were colonies at first. We could have each been like countries if we'd really wanted to. We really could have. But somewhere along the lines, there was a group of people that were like, probably rich white men, that were like, no, we can't let these people, you know, function for themselves. We can't let them become like Europe, whatever that means. And so they formed the 13 colonies, and then from there on, each colony became a state, and then we just decided to keep growing from there. So we probably could have been Ohio, the country, if we'd really wanted to.
Ohio, the Buckeye Nation or something.
Right, and what's our state bird? Is it the cardinal? Yeah.
Yeah, what's the difference between like a province and like a country city?
I don't know.
That's confusing.
Yeah, because it's like, is a province like a state?
I'm not sure.
Or is it like, or is it like a collection of states?
Because like Canada has provinces, and a few other countries do. Let me look that up.
Yeah, let's figure that out real quick.
A province is almost always an administrative division within a country or state. The term derives from the ancient Roman provincia, which was the major territorial and administrative unit of the Roman Empire's territorial possessions outside Italy. The term province has since been adopted by many countries, and in those with no actual provinces, it has come to mean outside the capital city. While some provinces are produced artificially by colonial powers, others were formed around local groups with their own ethnic identities. Many have their own powers independent of federal authority, especially in Canada. In other countries like China, provinces are the creation of central government with very little autonomy.
So does that mean like Puerto Rico could be considered a province outside of the United States? Because it's not really a state. The province of Puerto Rico. Because does America own them? It's such a terrible way to phrase it, but like they're a part of America. We just don't have a state, not our 51st state.
Yeah, it says United States unincorporated organized territory of the United States, Puerto Rico. Yeah. Came longstanding. Yeah, I guess probably. Yeah, like why isn't I imagine that we have states because it would be a lot harder to control like one large body of land.
Just like a giant state.
Yeah, if there weren't like subsections
that makes sense
to control.
So there's like smaller governments within a bigger government to like I mean it's kind of like a business if you think about it.
And I also picture it as the ability to exercise like certain freedoms, because like one state could allow something that the other couldn't. And I guess if you're unsatisfied with the way that state runs things, you can go to another one.
Yeah, I mean that's like the beauty of being an American.
It's freedom, right?
Yeah. However, I thought this was interesting because when I was studying political science, we were talking about the certain rights of states and the rights of government. Now, the one right of government that states don't have is the right to basically speak with foreign governments. Like, we don't have the right to negotiate with foreign governments as the state of Ohio, but the United States has. So that gives the president the power to do that. But if we're like not happy with what the president's doing, then we just have to write our governor and be like, hey, look, this isn't good, and talk to them that way.
Yeah.
Maybe I just wish that I could run the world. Things would be better.
You know, like, okay, so do you think that if you had that ability to run the world, do you think you would be able to run it justly?
No, because I'm a utilitarian. People would hate me.
Okay, when you say you're a utilitarian, is that an absolute? Like, it's the only way, it's the end-all be-all?
It's the utilitarian way, right? Is that you want what's best for the most.
Right. But
so if I have to put a strong hand down that says, yes, this is how it's going to be. Whether you like it or not, this is how it's going to be. I feel like that would definitely be...
Well, I think that's the problem with like sort of labels and titles. Like, it's limiting because not one ideal is suitable for all scenarios. Like, to me, that's intellectually lazy to just say that you're this and it's suitable for all situations.
Interesting. Now, would you think that something like that would be more ethical or more... Because mine, I think, would be relied on ethics. Moral issues don't concern me.
Wait, so what was your question?
Like, would it be more ethical? Like, your version of utilitarian, right? You say not every scenario can cover every aspect of humanity, right? Is that kind of what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
It's a weird statement. But, like, I guess I'm trying to figure out what it is that would be the major issue with it.
'Cause you're putting your opinion of what's best for everyone, which may not be the case. And also, yeah, that's a part of it. Okay, cause it can be broken down several ways. Like half of the world is like men, women. So you have to break it down that way, but also like racial and age. Like how do like are you counting to like, okay, so you outnumber them by one, so we'll take you because you're the majority.
No. I don't think that's the way I think about it. To me, like utilitarian means
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Yeah, well, it's like needs of humans,
Mm-hmm.
but not like it's not about how much money. It's not about how much power you have. It's about the needs of the human hierarchy of needs. Those are the things that I think are the best to think about in that kind of aspect. So,
Have you heard of the I guess relating to utilitarianism, like the train scenario?
never heard
Really?
of it.
So basically, it's their oh man, forget exactly how it goes, but oh right. So okay, something about throwing. Okay, so there's a train full of people, and if throwing one off could save the whole train, would you do it, or would you just let everyone die? I think that's how it goes. Like why is that person's life?
Well, do you have the option of throwing yourself off?
I'm not sure. That's I guess that's a loophole to the dilemma. You wouldn't do that though.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Not to sound like suicidal or anything, but, just thought. Okay. Yeah. So, that's really all I have about independent states.
You really didn't have much, even though you wanted to talk about this for 2 months.
I think that I'm on the same page with you about we were really putting this off for a while. I don't know. Maybe if Kevin was here, we'd probably have a lot more to talk about because he's very opinionated and I think in some ways more educated than me about certain subjects. So, maybe another time.
Yeah, sure. We can call this one the theory of independent weed or something. Yeah, I don't know. We kind of went on like 3 different tangents with this one. Yeah, so I guess we'll try to get Kevin on for part 2. Hopefully we'll be a little more in depth with that one. Well, that's it, I guess.
Yeah, other than that, just look forward to the next podcast.
It's the theory of dreams.
Is it the theory of dreams?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, we put that one off too, didn't we? Okay, yeah, so listen to the theory of dreams, and I think that one's going to be a good one. We're not going to have anybody on for that one, are we? Yeah.
Right.
So we got a full schedule coming up here pretty soon. Just keep an eye out, and then our store should be up in the next probably couple weeks. All right.
All right. Bye.